Hey, so since our last video on getting free traffic, we've got a lot of questions about how to use Google. So how do I get free traffic using Google? So to dive in, let's start with how Google actually works, because you kind of need to understand the how so you can leverage the why and actually get that free traffic from it. And of course, I'm saying Google through this video, but I'm just doing that because it's the only company that's become a verb in our lexicon. Obviously, replace Google with Bing or DuckDuckGo or any other search engine you might be using. So the main way Google works is that it has little spiders, right? Little fake insects that go out and crawl the web, for lack of, for a metaphor to use. And what they're doing is they're finding web pages, they're scanning through them, they're reading them, for lack of a better term, and then they're bringing it back to Google to index. So Google can serve that up when someone searches for a term or searches for anything in Google, right? And so how do they crawl the web? Well, they're going through URL links, right? So if you have a home page and there's an about page link there, they're gonna crawl through that link to the about page. And if there's an outbound link going to another site from that about page, they're gonna follow that to another website. And that's how they kind of crawl out there across the whole web and find all these pages to index and bring back to Google. Now, of course, Google can't, it's a machine, it can't actually read or grok or understand anything, but the engineers at Google sure can, and they're doing a great job at helping the algorithm figure out what's on a page. So, but there's not only just the written words on a page, there's the metadata behind it, right? And metadata, we don't have to go into the technical too much here, just know that there's kind of hidden text on a page that tells Google more about what's on it. So of course, if you had a title of your blog post or something, you wouldn't tell the user reading it, hey, this is the title, but you can tell the robots reading it, this is the title. So they know that this is the most important piece, this is the title, this is what I should be paying a lot of attention to, and this is a subheading, and this is what the image is, right? You can describe what the image is for a robot to understand, but the person isn't gonna see that, they're just gonna see the image on the page, right? So there's ways to optimize a page so Google really knows what's on it fully, and can categorize it really well. And why is that important? Well, it's important because the better you index your site and the better Google can index your site, the more likely it is to serve specific pages for search terms around what your pages are covering. So if we want to go into how to actually get free traffic from Google, if you have a blog or if you want to start a blog, what you want to do in this day and age is find a sub niche, right? So if a niche or a niche is, let's say, personal finance, if that's a broader category, it's a very competitive space to rank in because there's a lot of big sites out there ranking for the common search terms. But what you want to do is find a sub niche, right, or a smaller piece of that niche that people are still passionate about, but bigger sites might not be ranking as competitively for. Right, so if we want to use personal finance, this will be a hard example, honestly, because it's pretty competitive. But let's say you narrow down to a demographic or an age group, right? So I'm going to talk to 21-year-olds coming out of college, right? And I'm just going to teach them how to budget. I'm going to teach them how to start a 401k, how to job hunt, how to advance their careers, how to start a credit card, what credit cards to use, and all those kind of things I can speak to a 21-year-old about. I've just niched down into a very specific type of person, and I'm going to talk to them in my blog. You might think that's going to limit you to traffic, but if you do this right, you're going to find a gold mine, so to speak, of rich traffic going along a easier to rank source, right? And now you're gonna start answering their questions, right? I just gave you some examples there, but if someone's going, what's the best credit card to start? You're gonna have a blog article about that. How do I start a Roth IRA? You're gonna start, write a blog article about that. And you do this, this could be raising bunnies or chickens or any kind of niche, right? You're not just gonna talk about farming, you're gonna bring it down to how do I raise goats, right? Something really specific, and talk around that. What this allows you to do is hyper-focus your page content because you're not trying to rank your whole site, you're trying to rank individual pages in Google for really specific search terms. So think about the how, the what, the best, those kind of what's the best way to X? How do I do Y? Any of these problem solution questions that pop up, there's some great resources like Answer the Public, excuse me, some different things like that, where you can go to find ideas for articles in your niche. But then you start writing good content around that. And you post it to your site and you let Google index it and you wait for traffic to come in. Now we referenced before the how Google works. A big part of that is those backlinks, right? So Google, just the page on the content usually isn't enough to get a site ranked. It will, and if it's really not competitive. You can get good traffic from it. But what you want to remember is that Google can only read what's on there, but they look for other things to give them a clue that it's better content, right? Because there might be 4 pages out there on how to raise goats. Probably a lot more than that. But so Google's gonna look at other identifiers to tell which is the best one of those pages to rank first, second, third, and fourth, right? And ways it does that is looking at external backlinks coming into that site. Okay, so if you have farmersonly.com, gosh, I hope they're not linking to that article, but if they are, they're going to have a backlink to it. Google's going to see that. That's a point in that site's favor that it has a backlink. It's kind of like a vote, right? Someone else is voting for this page being worthwhile. So the more backlinks you have, the more likely you are to rank highly. There's ways to do this too much and to gamify that too much where you actually get, kind of slapped by Google a little bit. If you do this organically and kind of earn backlinks organically, that helps you rank higher. Other things like making sure your page loads fast, that it has good user experience, that people are reading the full article, right? All those things help your page rank in the long run. And the more you do this, the more types of pages you put out there, you'll find that you kind of find your winners, right? You might have some pages that get 10 visitors a month, and all of a sudden one starts getting 80, right? And then you have your new baseline. And the other ones are getting 80, the next one gets 1,000, right? And you're just trying to get traffic coming in. Once you get traffic coming in, ideally you're capturing them as leads. You are kind of getting them to your email list. You're either giving them affiliate offers right on that blog post you've written, so you're monetizing that traffic right away, or you're serving them ads, right? And you're actually getting money from the people putting ads on your site for different kind of either ad roles or different things like that. And that's in a nutshell kind of how to get free traffic from Google. Obviously free in air quotes because you still have to pay for hosting for a website to be on. There's a lot of sweat equity that goes into this to actually write articles every day or week. And then to maintain the site, there's some additional little costs there. But the traffic itself is free once you kind of put it out there, optimize it, and start earning traffic from search engines like Google. And then the last thing to mention here is YouTube. YouTube is technically a search engine. It's the second largest search engine after Google. And of course, YouTube's a YouTube company, or YouTube is a Google company. The reason why I mentioned this is, right, maybe you don't want to write 1,000 words a day. That's fine. You can look to YouTube as another type of search engine and do the same exact strategy, except, right, things like, your title is still very important in Google. How long people watch is very important as far as ranking factors go and who finds your videos organically and things like that. But don't discount it as a type of search engine you can leverage. So there's the writing portion and blogging that you can go for, or there's a YouTube portion you can go for. And you can honestly do both. It's just obviously that's a lot more work to kind of tackle all at once. Okay, so now you know how Google works, from how they index and kind of crawl the web out there, how you can leverage that to win free traffic to your sites and to your blog posts, and then how you can use that same kind of strategy around sites like YouTube, who are ranking videos instead of words. So this is all valuable to you. Please check out the links in the description below. I've got some good goodies for you in there, and happy scaling.